Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tiro Bonachari Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tiro Vanajari Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Puri Brajika Jaja Shudra Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Puri Brajika Jaja Shudra Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Founderacharya, BBT Founderacharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Samavira Bhakti Ki Jai, Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namah Vishnu Madaya Krishna Mastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Charini Nivashesh Shunyavadi Pasyatyadi Vitarane. Is there noise out on the patio? Is that what that noise is coming from? So maybe we can open this door. We need some air in here. I need some air in here. Because it sounds like there's something going on out there, right? Is that my imagination? There's a buzzing sound. Okay, my old age, ringing in the ears maybe. Okay, so maybe if there's no noise on the patio, you can... Huh? Maybe this could be opened up a little bit. Air. Okay. See if we can chant this. So this morning we're reading from the 5th canto, 2nd chapter, text 7, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiyadayat. Shri Bhakti Jai. Okay. Ka Tvam Chikir Cha Kim Munivarya Shaile Maya Asi Kapi Bhagavat Paradevataya Vijay Bibrashi Danushi Suhrit Atmanaha Arte Kimva Mrigan Mrgayase Vipine Pramatan Katvam Chakir Shashichakim Munivarya Shaile Maya Sikapi Bhagavat Paradevataya Vijay Bibrashi Danushi Surhiratmanorte Kimva Mrigan Mrgayashe Vipane Pramatan Katvam Chikir Shashika Chakim Munivarya Shaile Maya Sikapi Bhagavat Paradevataya Vijay Bibarshi Danushi Surhiratmanorte Kimva Mrigan Mrgayashe Vipane Pramatan. Anyone like to chant? Katvam Katvam Chikir Shashi Chakim Munivarya Shaile Maya Sikapi Bhagavat Paradevataya Bidje Bibarshi Danushi Sudatmanarte Kimba Migan Virgayashe Vipane Pramatan Tvam Chikir Shashi Chakim Munivarya Shale
Katvam Chikir Shasi Chakim Muni Varya Shaile Maya Sikapi Bhagavat Para Devatayaha Vijay Vivarshi Danushi Surit Atmanurite
Vijay Vivarshi Danushi Suridatmanarte
Kimva Mrigan Mrigayase Vipine Ramatan
Kimba Migan Megayashe Vipane Pramatam. Synonyms: Ka, who, Tvam, are you, Chikir Shashi, are you trying to do, Cha, also, Kim, what, Munivarya, O best of Munis, Shaile, on this hill, Maya, illusory potency, Asi, are you, Kapi, some, Bhagavat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paradevataya, of the Transcendental Lord, Vijay, without strings, Bibarshi, are you carrying, Danushi, two bows, Suhrit, of a friend, Atmanaha, of yourself, Arte, for the sake, Kimva, or Mrigan, forest animals, Mrigayashe, are you trying to hunt, Vipine, in this forest, Pramatan, who are materially maddened. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The prince mistakenly addressed the Apsara. O best of saintly persons, who are you? Why are you on this hill, and what do you want to do? Are you one of the illusory potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You got that one right. Okay. You seem to be carrying two bows without strings. What is the reason you carry these bows? Is it for some purpose of your own or for the sake of a friend? Perhaps you carry them to kill the mad animals in the forest. Purport. While undergoing severe penances in the forest, Agnidhra was captivated by the movements of Purvacitti, the girl sent by Lord Brahma. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Kamastastar Hita Jnana, 720. When one becomes lusty, he loses his intelligence. Therefore, Agnidhra, having lost his intelligence, could not distinguish whether Purvacitti was male or female. He mistook her for a Muniputra, the son of a saintly person in the forest, and addressed her as Munivarya. Because of her personal beauty, however, he could not believe her to be a boy. He therefore began studying her features. First, he saw her two eyebrows, which were so expressive that he wondered whether he or she might be the Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words used in this connection are Bhagavat Para Devataya. Devata, the demigods, all belong to this material world, whereas Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always beyond this material world, and is therefore known as Paradevata. The material world is certainly created by Maya, but it is created under the direction of Paradevata, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. That's the 9th chapter, 10th verse. Maya is not the ultimate authority for the creation of this material world. Maya acts on behalf of Krishna. Purvacitti's eyebrows were so beautiful that Agnidhra compared them to bows without strings. He therefore asked her whether they were used for her own purposes or for the sake of someone else. Her eyebrows were like bows meant to kill animals in the forest. This material world is like a great forest, and its inhabitants are like forest animals such as deer and tigers meant to be killed. The killers are the eyebrows of beautiful women. Captivated by the beauty of the fair sex, all the men of this world are killed by bows without strings, but cannot see how they are killed by Maya. It is a fact, however, that they are being killed. Bhutva bhutva paliyate, Bhagavad Gita 8:19. By dint of his tapasya, Agnidhra could understand how Maya acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word pramatan is also significant. Pramata refers to one who cannot control his senses. The entire material world is being exploited by people who are pramata or vimudha. Prahlad Maharaj therefore said, Soche tato vimukha chetasa indriyarta maya sukaya bharam urvato vimudhan. Quote, they are rotting in material activities for transient material pleasure and spoiling their lives, toiling all day and night simply for sense gratification with no attachment for love of Godhead. I am simply lamenting for them and devising various plans to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. 7:943 from the Bhagavatam. Karmis who act very seriously for sense gratification are always referred to in the Shastras by such terms as, such affectionate terms, as pramata, vimukha, and vimudha. They are killed by Maya. However, one who is apramata, a sane, sober person, a dhira, knows very well that a human being's primary duty is to render service to the Supreme Person. Maya is always ready to kill those who are pramata with her invisible bows and arrows. Agnidhra questioned Purvacitti about this. Om Agyanti Marandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksul Unminitam Ninatai Ismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikapadrubhascha kripa sindhu bevaja bodhidhanam bhavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. All glories to the assembled devotees. By your good wishes and blessings, I'll try to say a few words. The Srimad Bhagavatam. First thing is came to mind when I read this verse, and the story here is from time to time they'll interview what are they called? Well, one word is shysters, conmen, that's the word, in prison. In fact, some of them write books. But they interview them, and one of the things they always say is that they could never cheat anyone who didn't want to be cheated. It's not possible. Would you like a Rolex watch? Just $50. Sure, right? Or whatever it might be. It was impossible to cheat someone who didn't want to be cheated, but if you wanted to be cheated, if you wanted something for nothing or whatever, it's very easy to take advantage of you. And that's just how it is. So what's going on here is that Agnidhra wants to be in Maya. Right? He wants to be in Maya. So Purvacitti has what's the word? Easy target, like that. Easy target. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. So Prabhupada's saying here in the purport that, making the point, this verse from the Gita, the 720, it's about the demigods, demigod worship, but this kamastar tastar hita jnana, that as soon as we're desiring to and be happy or enjoy in this material world, what happens? Hrita jnana. Jnana means knowledge, hrita means it's stolen. Our good sense, our good intelligence is taken away. Prabhupada says, quotes, one becomes lusty or desiring to enjoy the material world, one loses his intelligence. Now what's being referred to here is spiritual intelligence, right? If you're a little tired, you can always stand up. Stand on your head. Like that. No, I'm only kidding about standing on your head, but you can stand up if you like. Spiritual intelligence, because in the material world, Prabhupada's saying, later on he uses this pramata, vimudha, vimukha. These people are glorified. The people are very, very, Prabhupada says they're very serious about sense gratification, and they're very, very intelligent. Sometimes it's understood that, or seen that people are very, very intelligent. They get ahead in this material world. They really have a lot of sense gratification. They're really smart. They figure out how to enjoy in this material world, right? And they're glorified in many different ways by the general mass of people. He figured it all out. She figured it all out, how to be happy in this material world. So that's not the intelligence that's referred to here. The intelligence is the intelligence of a transcendentalist or a devotee. Intelligence means, what is that, Prabhupada would say? Matter and spirit controller both. Who is who, what is what is to be done and what is not to be done, these different things. What is to be done and what is not to be done? Let's think about it for a second. What is to be done and what is not to be done? And the problem is, on the material platform, we don't accept that there's a spiritual dimension, but as soon as we accept there's a spiritual dimension, then we have to start thinking in terms of that. So Agnidhra immediately went off. Well, it says here actually because of his austerities, he could understand that this could be some Maya going on here, right? There could be something going on. Prabhupada says by his austerities he understood, and therefore he addressed her in that way. Are you the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj tells a story about a Gurukula student in Mayapur that was a teenager, and they have a break. A certain time of the year, I guess it gets very hot, and the children can go home to their parents. So he was from Europe, and he was young, a teenager. He thought he'd go out and enjoy life while he was there, while he was home. So he went to a bar. And he was sitting there, and he's thinking, this is really cool. This is really nice, Here I am, I'm enjoying. And he saw a young girl, and he went up to the girl and said, hi. He said, what's your name? And she said, Maya. That was her name, Maya. So he goes, uh-oh. Krishna immediately just wanted, my name's Maya. So right there, I don't think so. I don't know, but I think Maharaj just started laughing, but it's a true story. He said, Maya. I said, oh. So the nature of this material world. And the problem is, it's described in this verse and different verses in the Gita, that this material desire, kama, Arjuna in the end of the 3rd chapter, he asks, what is this material desires? Even we know we shouldn't do something, we still do it. We're impelled. Kamesha, krodesha, rajaguna, sambudbhavats. It's this material desire or lust. It's born of the mode of passion. And that one verse, let me see right here. It's a good one. They're all good, but here it is. This abritam jnanam etena jnanino nityavarina. That our pure consciousness is covered by our eternal enemy. Nityavarina means our eternal enemy in the form of kama rupena, in the form of this material desire. It's our eternal enemy. In other words, that desire to enjoy in this material world is actually our enemy. Now, if you're a materialist, you think it's your best friend. And the more you cultivate that, you are materially successful, or you're considered materially successful, at least until the tide starts turning. because we're not the supreme controllers. We can be the most, have everything. Even Lord Brahma loses his universe. Even Lord Brahma loses his universe. He has a whole universe, and it gets taken away from him by time. It's amazing. A whole universe. That's a lot. Just like I sometimes I read this years ago. There's a woman here. She won $30 million in the lottery. $30 million. And she burned through it in 1 year. Is that possible? I guess it is. That's a lot. And somehow or other, within 1 year, she was broke, in debt. So it all gets taken away. Even Lord Brahma, a whole universe. And it just, there it goes. I had a universe. It's gone. Right? You lose something. I had $10. It's gone now. I had a car. I had this. I had a girlfriend. I had a boy. It's gone. I had a universe. It's gone. Where are you now? In the fourth canto, Sri Prabhupada says we all started out like Lord Brahma. Ninth canto, we started out like Lord Brahma. So we all had a universe and we lost it. Where'd it go? And then look at us now. What do we got? 2 dhotis, 2 kurtas, parakopans or 2. Like that. Bhagavad Gita, not much, right? Not much. We had a universe at one time. So it's just everything's taken away. Everything's taken away. But this intelligence, how I'm going to enjoy the material world, it destroys everything. Or the kama, Krishna says, nityavairina. It's our eternal enemy. And it has to be seen in that way. And, of course, that's all based upon spiritual strength. But in that spiritual strength gives us the vision that I don't want to enjoy in this material world. And if one has that strength, and that comes by sadhana, if it's just book knowledge, it's very easy for it to get dispersed. Like that. Because we all have our price. Did you know that? We all have our price. I think it was Sridhar Maharaj giving this lecture. Someone was giving this lecture once. We all have a price. He began the talk by saying he knew a devotee, back in the 70s, and we probably may have all known devotees like this. Very, very nice devotees, and then all of a sudden he got a big inheritance from his parents. That was his price. And then it was hasta la vista. Like that, gone. And you get a note, a simple brahmachari living in the ashram, and your parents passed away, and they left you maybe a few $1 million. So you're looking at yourself and looking at a few $1 million. That's the price. So everyone's got a price. So you have to ask yourself, what's your price? Maybe it's someone like Purvacitti shows up at the temple, or this or that, or whatever it might be. We all have a price at this point, all the way up to the pure devotee, right? Because even in bhava, we could be like Bharat Maharaj. A nuzzle of a deer. And just showing how powerful Maya is. And that's what is coming out in this story. How powerful Maya is. Just the eyebrows. Nothing else. I mean, he's going to go, I'm glad I'm giving the next few classes, start describing different parts of her body and so on. But just the eyebrows themselves. You know this word mudra? Mudra, people think like mudras, you might say the hand movement, but actually it's the hands and the eyes and facial expression. And what it does, just like in puja you have mudras, and mudras, what they do is it's a exhibition of your mood, worshiping the deities. Yeah, see, that's your hands. As you move your hands, just like there's different mudras when you're speaking, there's all kinds of mudras with the dancers and so on, and it also includes the eyes and the mouth. As you're watching them dance, they are exhibiting different emotions through the movements of the hand and the eyebrows and the mouth and so on. So the eyebrows are one type of mudra, you could say. And you watch, exactly. The Kathakali dancers, the different Narabacham dancers, watch how their eyes are all over the place and this and that and, and their hands. So here, Purvacitti, her eyebrows, they're very, very powerful. And they are definitely sending a message to Agnidhra. And he's getting the message. There's some communication going on here. He's getting the message really strong, and she's sending a strong message. But if one's not interested, of course we all know that Haridas Thakur is a very, I don't know if it was spoken of yet, but I'm sure it would come up in these verses, that Haridas Thakur was in a similar situation, but twice. And he wasn't at all interested. Not just disinterested, but his interest was, how can I deliver this conditioned soul? And the prostitute was sent by Ramachandra Khan, the very envious landholder, very envious of Haridas Thakur because he was getting all this respect and everything. And he wanted to make him fall down and become a disgrace. So he sent a prostitute in the middle of the night to allure him, and Haridas wasn't at all interested, but he's actually interested in delivering this poor suffering soul. So in other words, you have some spiritual vision. It's a whole shift. Agnidhra is thinking, here's this beautiful young woman for me to enjoy. Haridas was thinking, here's this poor suffering conditioned soul. Let me see if I can help her and deliver her, like that. So he just said, that's fantastic. I'm glad you're here, kind of like encouraging her. Just sit here. Let me finish my rounds. After I finish my rounds, we can enjoy. So, but he just kept chanting all night long, and then 3 nights in a row. And on the 3rd night, from just sitting there, hearing Haridas Thakur chant, she had a change of heart. She became a devotee, gave everything up and became a devotee. So just see the difference. Because Haridas Thakur was niskinchana. Niskinchana means one who actually has no desire to enjoy in this material world. Niskinchanasya dantasya shantasya samachetasaha. You know this verse? It's in the 11th canto. I was just trying to learn this verse. Then Maya Sudusha Manasa Sarva Sukha Maya Disha. That's the verse. It says that Niskinchanasya, one who has no desire to joy in this material world, Dantasya Shantasya, who's become peaceful because they've controlled their senses, Samachetasa, who sees everything equally everywhere. He's not making all these dualities and so on. Very important is this Maya, one whose mind is very satisfied in Krishna consciousness, with Krishna. Maya is one who's satisfied. Their mind is completely satisfied being a devotee. What is that? Sarva Sukha Maya Disha. They're happy wherever they go. They're completely happy wherever they go. Sarva Sukha, always happy. Maya Disha. Disha means directions, in all the directions. That's a tall order, but that's what the difference is. But this Niskinchanasya means no plans in the material world. I don't have any plans. What are your plans? I don't have any plans. Right? People will say, what are you doing this Saturday night? What are you doing? What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? What's your economic plan? What's your relationship plan? What's, all these books and everything. What's your plan? Right? Devotee goes, I don't have a plan in this material world. I got no plan. I just want to go back home, back to Godhead. Sir, and actually, even higher than that is, I just want to serve my spiritual master, serve Krishna. I don't even nadanam najanam nasunanam kavidam vajagadishaye mama janmini janmishwe bhavatad bhakta hoitiki tui. This is I don't get a plan verse. Nadanam najanam nasundaram kavidam vajagadisha kami. I don't get a plan. Everyone's got their plans, right? Nadanam. There's the wealth plan. In this country, the 2 most popular plans for getting rich, you know what they are? Majority of people, you know what their plans are for getting rich? The lottery and suing someone. That's sue the guy who won the lottery. Those are the 2 big plans. They interview people. What are your plans for getting rich? Either going to win the lottery or I'm going to sue someone. That's our country. Ta-da! So dana, danam, not janam, followers, and the sundarim, like that. Beautiful relationships like that. And and even liberation. Janmi Ishwari. Janmi means I don't even want to, devotees not even concerned about being liberated. I don't have a plan for liberation. Whether I go back home, back to Godhead. Now Prabhupada said that's very, very advanced. We should desire to go back home, back to Godhead. But even those who are very, very advanced, I don't care. Bhavatat bhakta hoitiki tui. I just want to have unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service, seva. That's the mood of Vrindavan, which even excels Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, you want to go back to Vaikuntha and be with Vishnu, Narayan, with the same opulence as Bhakti. They're all spiritual desires, but the devotees in Vrindavan, they just want to serve, and they're not even concerned whether Krishna is there or not. They just want to serve the other devotees, assist them in serving. And Krishna may make me brokenhearted by not being present before him. It doesn't matter. He's my worshipful Lord. I just want some service. So that's the most... And one has that level of spirituality or even aspiring for it, then in a situation like this, won't be distracted like that. It just doesn't make any sense. Just like if someone were to offer you, well, there's so many different examples you could think of, but just like someone thinks, oh, they're doing, just like Prabhupada's on a morning walk in that park, and the man's fishing, and comes up to Prabhupada and says, would you want to give Prabhupada a fish? And Prabhupada said, no, you keep it, you enjoy. And then he walked away and said, suffer. So, what's Prabhupada want with a fish? What do you want with a fish? Or, someone gives you, it's like, I have no desire for this whatsoever, right? It just doesn't, it's not part of my life. So that's how, otherwise, all you need is one little crack. One little crack, like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Just one of the senses upon which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence, just like a boat swept away on the water. Has anyone here been sailing before? Yes? You're a sailor? You know how it is. You be careful. The boat just the wind just takes it. It just takes it away. So I'll just end with this one point is, Maya is very powerful. It says in the purport here, Maya is being controlled by Krishna. So why would Krishna do something like this? Why would Krishna put us in Maya or test us like... That's the point. It's a test. Maya is always there testing because those who want to go back home, back to Godhead, they have to be pure in heart. So Krishna's always there. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Here's a test. Here's a test. Here's the same test again, another test, until we're ready to go back home, back to Godhead. So that's what's actually happening here. It's a thankless task, but Maya is making sure we are ready to go back home, back to Godhead. Otherwise, you can imagine what a disturbance it is in the spiritual world. Okay. So Hridayananda Maharaj said in one lecture, it's not that, some jiva is smoking a cigarette behind a desire tree, or something like that. It's like, what? Do you smell something? You won't get back. You won't get back home, back to Godhead unless you're pure in heart, because it's the spiritual world. So Maya's thankless task, and she's under the control of Krishna, like that. But that doesn't mean we welcome illusion. Oh, this is Krishna's energy. Very nice, very nice. There are people who say that. It's all very wonderful. It's all Krishna's play. It's all just part of the mix. No. Maya can be very, very cruel. Can be very, very cruel. But that's what's actually happening, and that's why the devotees, they see the different challenges in their life, and as Krishna's kindness also. Oh, Krishna's just testing me. Krishna's testing me. They see everything in light of Krishna consciousness, even the trials and tribulations, like that. But is always testing the jiva. The jiva is always being tested, and so we need to work really hard on being able to pass the test. Being able to pass the test. And one devotee was saying that if you're ever in difficulty, at the top of your lungs, call out the name Lord Nityananda. Call out for Lord Nityananda, and he'll save you. The devotee asked in class, does that mean wherever I'm at, just atop my lungs? He said, well, if you're in a situation where you can't do that, in your mind at the top of your lungs. But he said, if you call out for Lord Nityananda in any difficult situation, you will be protected. Lord Nityananda is very, very, very kind and helpful. So So in your mind, call out for Lord Nityananda. So we have to have the sense to do that, like that. We have to have a default. When there's a difficult situation, we have to have enough sense in that moment. Because they say that's the difference between an animal and a human being. Between stimulus and response. You know what I'm saying? Between stimulus and response. Something comes up, how do we respond to it? Right? There's a moment there. And we can think about it. Animals can't. Something comes up and they just, But intelligent person, between stimulus and response, there's a moment there to think about what you're going to do. So when that stimulus comes up, if we have that little bit of Krishna consciousness, the response will be Nityananda, like that, Prabhupada, like that. So there's a lot to talk about in this verse. So I'll open it up for questions and comments.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Can I go first, or should I wait?
You are going first.
Dharmasetu Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine. We missed you.
I missed you too. Thank you very much. And all glories to your class. Prabhu, you said in your lecture, in your class, that people succeed in material life because of having developed material intelligence. But, and now it's me speaking, because these people do not surrender to Krishna, their happiness and their success is no better than the happiness or success of a thief. So my question is, in what measure the happiness of a thief could be compared to incessant suffering, like suffering by the second?
Happiness of a thief. Well, because
because I do not know what is the happiness of a thief. If you know, could you enlighten me?
Oh yeah,
please.
I can tell you all day long because I'm a thief, like that.
Well, I'm not.
No. You're absolutely right. And Krishna actually says that. One who actually uses that word in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse about a thief, because we're taking someone else's property. So how can you really can't enjoy another person's property? It's not yours. But because of the mindset, one is thinking, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. So it's not real happiness, it's false happiness, and sooner or later that happiness comes to an end. So it's not very, very deep at all. But you're correct in your observation that everyone in the material world is a thief. Prabhupada would sometimes joke, there's that story in the morning walk, and that businessman's walking with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada says, what do you do? And he said he has a glass factory. And Prabhupada said, oh, how do you make glass? And he said, well, you take sand, and, the silica, you sand. And Prabhupada said, oh, so you're a thief. You're taking all of Krishna's sand. And the man kind of faded back in the walk and then came back up. He accepted Prabhupada. And the point was, you're a big thief. You're using Krishna's sand. So it's true, whatever we're doing, we're using Krishna's property. But the Krishna consciousness means we're using Krishna's property for Krishna. And the thief we use the property for ourselves. Same thing, same exact thing. One is using it for the owner of the property, and one is thinking, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. So how can you really be happy? You can't. And the greatest happiness is utilizing everything in Krishna's service. And Krishna reciprocates with such a devotee, because that's life on the spiritual platform.
Thank you very much, Dharmasetu Prabhu, for
You're welcome.
The wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Someone else has some comments on this wonderful verse?
The man said, oh, but I give big donations to Krishna. He said, oh, then you're a little thief.
Wouldn't let him off the hook.
Just to put this a little bit in context, this Agnidhra and this whole scene that we're witnessing here. First of all, as I think you mentioned, but it's important to make it clear because that he went there specifically with this purpose.
Yes.
So he's not. It's not like he's a big yogi trying to, and then there's that phenomenon too. But this is, intentional. So then they get together, But we should remember that one of his sons was Nabi, who is the father of Rishabhdev. So it's not like a whole sinful thing that's happening, and he has a dynasty of demons or something. It all works out in the end. And also Bharata is, I think, one of his descendants also. So it's quite...
No, the residents of heaven, they're all pious, but the sense gratification there is so high, it is so bewildering. Isn't it? I mean, their sense gratification. I mean, just like the previous verse. I just read, she's breathing, her breath is like perfume and this and that. I mean, watch out. They're all pious because there's signs of piety, that you're surrounded by beauty and wealth and, Janmaishvaya, Shruta. These are all, so pious. You get all of this unbelievable sense gratification, all pious, not sinful. But that doesn't mean you're not stuck in the material world like that. And at the end of the story, she goes back, and he's so love-struck, he actually dies and takes birth again with her. It's a story, another story of a conditioned soul in the material world. Soulmates, like that. Yoko, as in John and Yoko, asked Prabhupada about that. About, will John and I be together, forever? And when Prabhupada said no, that's when she stopped. She didn't want to associate with Prabhupada anymore because he gave the wrong answer. She wanted to hear that she would be with John Lennon forever. Well, I guess that didn't happen even in this lifetime. But she was upset, right? Very upset with Prabhupada's answer. Any other Prabhus? You have some questions, comments? Hopefully comments, not questions.
Hare Krishna. Generally, we hear how Lord Indra, when you'd see someone doing some austerities, he'd send some apsara to dissuade, to check his austerity. But here we're hearing Lord Brahma. He has sent this apsara, and it's said that his purpose was to have a perfect son. Earlier in some of the earlier verses. So I'm wondering, why would Lord Brahma send this apsara to distract him?
Well, Dhruvada just made that point. He wasn't. He was actually praying. He wasn't a yogi trying to avoid all of this. He was actually wanting to get married and all of this stuff. So Lord Brahma was facilitating his desire. And of course, he's a very exalted person, and she's an exalted, in the sense of on that level of existence. So he's just like matchmaker. Yeah, and the lineage, you look at the lineage, like I said, Nabi, and the lineage of those very exalted personalities, but it's just... there you go. There you go. So he was worshiping Lord Brahma for the fulfillment of his desires, and Lord Brahma said, okay, I have just the girl for you.
I was just reminded of the pastime in the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam of Markandeya Rishi, when he asked to see the illusory potency of Krishna. And Krishna was like, you sure?
Sure.
And actually Krishna wasn't so happy. He didn't want it. He didn't want to show him his illusory potency to his devotee. But, he granted his desire. And Markandeya Rishi goes through this whole episode of experiencing the illusory energy of the Lord. So I was just thinking, that particular pastime, really see how powerful. I mean, at one point he's like being swallowed by a fish, and then seeing himself becoming swallowed by a fish, and all these things are going on, and then all of a sudden he's like in the middle of this ocean, and Krishna is just floating right there, and he's sucking on his toe, and then Krishna yawns, and it like breathes him in, and he's sitting back where he was previously.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Krishna. You mentioned how people how someone was interviewing these famous con men, how these con men would say, "Oh yeah, I've never cheated anybody who didn't want to be cheated," and then you're mentioning how you want a Rolex watch for $50, right? We see that people, and a lot of people in general, maybe we see a lot of people are cheaters, but a lot of people in general, they want a good deal. They want a good deal. Like, I have a hard time thinking of anyone who would pass up a good deal. You get something cheaper than what it usually is. So what's the difference between, you could say, wanting a good deal and these types of people who are just, wanting to be cheated? Or maybe you could comment on that.
Well, like I said, how much does a Rolex watch go for? Anyone know? Thousands. So maybe a good deal is, like 75% you pay or something. But when someone says, "I got a Rolex watch for $25," so it's how extreme the deal is. Everyone should know who wants to get cheated, and you get a good deal, you get your money's worth. But when someone's saying something that extreme, something's up. You overnight you become rich. You invest in this and that, and it's all these scams, internet scams. They got phone scams. Has anyone gotten that call yet that your Social Security number has been? You get that one? Your Social Security number. Something's wrong with your. It's nothing's wrong with your Social Security number. And people, oh my goodness, So there's so many scams and things like that. It's something for nothing. Basically, the idea is I'm going to get a lot for very little. It's the extreme. And that's different, So I'm gonna enjoy like anything. So there's a sucker born every minute. Who said that? P.T. Barnum, the circus guy. Lady's got a beard and the guy's swallowing sword. Bring him on in. There's a sucker born every minute, right? That was the beginning of the big circus days and all that. Oh wow, look at all this stuff. So. Traveling town to town because there's a sucker born every minute. P.T. Barnum. Like that. And I guess W.C. Fields probably said that too. Like, get away from me, boy, you bother me.
I always thought, I've been thinking lately, that Mahadevi herself, because he's a con man, can we use con person? The whole idea is, yes, you can enjoy. And everyone in Maya gets convinced of that. And then they're cheated, and then they die, and then it's taken away, and then the next life they try again. So it's come on, it's silly, and therefore we need a person who can give us the honest truth, how we can actually enjoy by giving up the idea of separate enjoyment.
No, right. I'll just say one last thing at the end, and we'll close it off.
This is a minor point, but I think it's significant. You quoted the last verse of the Shishastikam. He may, treat me roughly with his embrace, or make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. And you upon that, establish that the Brajvasis, the lovers of Krishna, they don't even want to be with Krishna. They just want to serve the devotees. That's what you said. Srila Prabhupada has said in black and white that the only desire of the Vrajvasis or the lovers of Krishna is that they want to be with Krishna and serve him. But Krishna, out of his kindness, this is not the same statement of Prabhupada, but we know that he gives separation to the devotees to increase the intensity of the love and the union when they re-meet. And but to support what you say, because when they are trying to convince Krishna, come back, be with us, this will make you happy, then they will selflessly present What about Mother Yasoda? What about Nanda Maharaj? What about the cows and your friends? So they put themselves last. But I think that's an important point. When you love Krishna, you want nothing other than to be with him and to serve him. But Krishna, in his loving reciprocations, won't allow that to always be there.
The last thing I just want to say was that verse, Kamanidam, about serving the senses. But it says, now my intelligence has become awakened. So that's what we're working on. Our intelligence becomes awakened, and when we learn, because he said, life after life, we keep trying and trying. It's like running into a wall. You're tired, right? So how many times can you run into the wall across the room before you say, this is not a good idea? Huh? Well, but some people just, our material life is like that. We just like keep, it's like running into a brick wall and do it again. It's like Jarasandha, right? Mahabharata tells a story about a devotee giving class in El Salvador. He was given that example that Jarasandha is 18 times, right? 18 times. But how many times is us? You do something really, really stupid. He did 18 times. But how many times have we done it? Just like odds are completely against us. We lose everything. How many lifetimes, how many millions and millions of times? And afterwards we're convinced somehow or other by illusion that I'll just try again. I'll just try again. I'll just try again. But sooner or later we want that awakening of intelligence by the mercy of the Vaishnavas that, wait a second, this is not so smart. Maybe I should surrender to Krishna. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.